Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to video number 14, Chemical Relaxer and Curl Reformations. Today we will be discussing chapter 20 in the Milady book and chapter 12 in the Salon Fundamentals book. As I mentioned in the permanent waving video, which was the prior video, there will not be a lot of questions on your test about this. That does not mean there will be no questions. As I've said before, it seems that every time I say to someone, this will not be heavily tested, what they hear is this will not be tested at all. I did not say it won't be tested at all. I said it will not be heavily tested. In fact, I would be surprised if you saw more than 2 questions tops on this topic. Not that it's not important, it's just there are so many topics on the test that other than hair color and infection control, everything else only gets a few questions. This is one of the least tested areas, but again, you can fail by 1 point. So you cannot say this is not important, okay? We're gonna talk about 2 possible chemicals used in relaxers. There's ammonium thioglycolate, which those of you who watched the previous video know is perm solution. You can use perm solution to relax extremely curly hair. There's also sodium hydroxide. Now, sodium hydroxide will give you completely straight hair. If your client wants his or her hair straight, you need to use sodium hydroxide. If they simply want it less curly, you can use ammonium thioglycolate, which is perm solution. It's a much gentler chemical on their hair. It won't fade their hair color, it won't break their hair as much. It just will not give them very straight hair. So the first thing is, how do they want their hair? Do they just want it less curly or do they really want it straight? You have 2 possible chemicals, sodium hydroxide and ammonium thioglycolate. Now, as far as completely straight hair, sodium hydroxide, there's also a chemical called guanidine. Now, your book gives about 2 sentences to guanidine. I will tell you how the state board exam handles this. It will say, this type of relaxer is sold over the counter and marketed as for sensitive scalps. When you see that terminology in the state board test question, sold over the counter for sensitive scalps, this is guanidine. Guanidine. It is not easier on your hair than sodium hydroxide. In fact, it's actually harsher on your hair. It just doesn't burn your scalp. It doesn't require a base cream. Now, people see for sensitive scalps. They conclude this must be mild. No, it's not mild. And the manufacturer didn't tell you it was mild. They said it was not going to burn your scalp. Guanidine. There's the test question. For sensitive scalps. Okay? Now, we're going to move right along here and look at a couple of questions. Question number 1. How much more alkaline is a pH of 9 than a pH of 7? 10, 20, 100, or 1000? And the answer is C, 100. A pH of 9 is 100 times more alkaline than a pH of 7. The pH scale is what they call a logarithmic scale. Those of you who live in California or Alaska or Hawaii understand logarithmic scales. They measure earthquakes. Each interval is 10. So an 8 is 10 times stronger than a 7. A 9 is 10 times stronger than an 8. But a 9 is 100 times stronger than a 7. Not 20 times, it's not 10 plus 10, it's 10 times 10. There will almost always be a question about this. Sometimes it will say how much stronger is an 8 than a 7. Sometimes how much stronger is a 9 than a 7. You need to understand the difference in these 2. It's either 10 or it's 100. Now, they could flip the question and they could say, as in question 2, how much less alkaline is a pH of 9 than a pH of 10? The answer is 10. The answer is A. Again, you must read the question slowly. How much more or how much less? It's just one little word. Otherwise, the sentence is identical, but it changes the answer completely. And there's always a question about this. Okay, now back to relaxers. We talked about guanidine for sensitive scalp, so we can go right on from there. Okay? Here's a question for you. What is the most commonly used relaxer strength? A says regular, B is mild, C is resistant, and D is super strength. The answer is A. What is the most commonly used relaxer strength? Regular. Very common state board test question, page 622 in your Malaty textbook. Next up, and closing this out, is curl reformation. Again, I would be very surprised if you saw more than one question on this. Okay? It is sometimes referred to as a soft curl perm. Curl reformation or soft curl perm. It's the same thing. It does not straighten your hair. It makes your hair less curly. The state likes to say larger and looser curls. So a curl reformation is a soft curl perm. It will give you softer and larger curls. It uses perm solution, in other words, an ATG solution. What other things mean ATG? Thio or cold wave. Ammonium thioglycolate. It requires wrapping on perm rods, just like a perm solution, because in effect it is a perm. It's just a perm on bigger rods. Curl reformation or a soft curl perm creates larger and looser curls. Just like with the regular perm, do not do this on people who have used a sodium hydroxide relaxer. You'll break off their hair. Do not use this on people who have colored with metallic dyes. Again, when you see the little gray roots peeking out, otherwise you brown or black hair, ask the client, what did you use to color your hair? Now they might say, just for men. Or they might say a name you're not familiar with. In which case, ask this follow-up question. How long did it take? Oh, it took only 7 minutes. It was fantastic. Bingo, you know the answer. They've used a metallic dye. You cannot do anything to their hair. There is a long, complicated process to get metallic dyes off the hair. We're not going to go into it. It's never tested, okay? And I would just say don't do it. That's going to wrap up this, okay? If you have any questions, please give us a call, 760-534-4434. Visit our website, www.cosmetologystateboardexam.com. Be sure to take our free practice test. We have every question that your state has asked within the last 12 months available on our website. $39.95. It's very cheap to guarantee you pass your test. You buy our book, you don't pass your test, you get your money back, you keep the book. It's a win-win. You cannot possibly lose. If we had to refund a lot of money, we'd be out of business. So I'm pretty confident. Our pass rate is about 98.5%. And given that most states' pass rate is about 57%, we're doing pretty good. Give us a call, visit us online, take our free practice test, and make sure to subscribe to our station so you get notified of future upcoming videos. Thank you and have a great day.